Welcome everybody to GoLocal Live. I'm Josh Fenton, CEO and co-founder. Before we get started, a couple of quick headlines. It is a busy, busy day in Providence, Rhode Island. Mayor Lors is holding a press conference, I think right now, discussing his idea of reparations for Native Americans and African Americans. One African American city councilwoman is forewarning, listen, don't make a promise you can't keep. Take a look at that article on GoLocal. Secondly, testing for the coronavirus is depleting here in Rhode Island. Governor Raimondo had promised to be at 20,000 tests by the end of September. That number is now dwindled between 2,000 and 3,000, and the governor's backing away from that promise. She said at the time when she announced the 20,000 per day testing that it was critical to be able to keep the schools and businesses open. We'll learn more about that. She does have a press conference. You can watch it live on GoLocal at 1 p.m. today. Also take a look at Lieutenant Governor McKee's economic development plan. We anticipate the governor offering her own plan later today during that press event as well. There's also an update on the IGT Twin River lottery proposal now before the General Assembly. There's a lot going on. Please take a look at those stories. And at 12 noon, Dr. Michael Fine will be on as numbers continue to rise here in Rhode Island. While relatively low to earlier peaks, they are up significantly, over 340% since the low on July 3rd of just 23 cases. But let's go to Anthony Hubbard from YouthBuild Prep. Anthony, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, you're working on the front line developing education programs. Give me an overview of what you guys are working on.
Yeah, so YouthBuild, so we have an organization, YouthBuild Providence, which is a traditional workforce development program, engaging young people who left school prior to earning a high school diploma. We historically have been teaching them construction skills. They build affordable housing. Our newest initiative started back in 2015 when I was working with a group of young men to create a school because they felt that their needs were not being met in the traditional school system, especially being men of color. They felt that they were disproportionately suspended and not given the resources that they needed to be successful.
Yeah, listen, all the data supports that. Students of color in the urban corridor get suspended at a significantly higher percentage than white students. And as we all know, listen, there's going to be young men and young women who leave the school structure, the traditional school structure, at a younger age than others and need to build an educational and training program to be able to support them. How are we doing in building that education training support system for them?
Within the city or within YouthBuild?
Because within YouthBuild, yeah. Walk us through the YouthBuild model. Where's the intercept? What do you do with them on a day-to-day basis, and what's the outcome?
Yeah, so we have a very intensive academic component to our program. However, it comes with high level of supports because we realize that many of the young people who walk through our doors are behind several grades. And so we spend a lot of time doing remediation work. It's a lot of one-on-one with our instructional staff. We do utilize online pathways to allow for independent study for those that can advance faster. But beyond the academic component, we do have our workforce development piece. And like I said, historically, it's really been around construction. And so we teach construction skills. They leave our program with a industry recognized certification. And they also have the opportunity to either build or rehab a piece of affordable housing that we partner with a local CDC on. And the part that we feel is most successful is our comprehensive support services, because we realize that many young people leave school not because of academic ability, but because life has gotten in the way. And so it's important to us to help alleviate some of those issues, really around social emotional wellness and mental health issues, court involvement. And so we play an integral role in working through some of those barriers, which also leads to barriers to employment. So, it's great to do the training, but they have to be able to be placed either in post-secondary education or workforce when they leave us.
So you're in the grand scheme of education in the United States, you guys are a new program. How many have worked their way through their program and what's been their outcome? Where are they now? How are they doing?
Yeah, so we have close to 700 graduates. that we have seen go through our program. For the most part, I'll be lying if I said, every student that graduated YouthBuild is doing great. But for the most part, we recognize an average of 70% placement and retention in placement. And these are true placements. These are not, dead end jobs, so to speak, or, seasonal work. These are individuals who are on a trajectory. In about 2012, we seen a huge increase in those students wanting to go into post-secondary education. And so they have went into various different fields, but the one that's most interesting is our students who really wanted to go into social work. And so it goes to that thought, like, who better than someone who traveled that journey? We continue to follow our young people, although by grant standards, we're only supposed to follow them for 2 years. I have followed students that were in my first graduating class from 2005.
Papa Bear keeping an eye on the Cubs as they go out into the world. Talk a little bit about who doesn't succeed. What's the makeup of those, and what more can we do to be able to take those that have not succeeded yet at this program and make them more successful?
Yeah, that's a tough question because there's a host of reasons. There's external factors at play. Some of our young people, when they enter into the program, they have pending cases that do not fare well for them in the end. So no matter what positive work they did with YouthBuild, they still have a history following them. We living in a time where the entry-level positions that are available decreased several years ago. So it wasn't places to put them. And when you don't have somewhere to put them in a safety net, they tend to go back to previous behaviors or they get discouraged. But what we try to do is reach out to them every time we hear of an opportunity. We try to stay connected to them and provide some continuing education and support services for their families. Because poverty and mental health is a real thing, and people get stuck into this vicious cycle where they just can't get out. And so no matter how much of the college try that we do, it's just too many systems that's working against them at this point.
Obviously, we're living in a time of tremendous change, the pandemic and the economic implications of the pandemic. The construction industry is clearly going to take a significant impact, certainly on the commercial side of it. Whether or not residential home building increases in some period of time is an unknown. But how's that going to impact the students you're working with, those that you're training, and what pivot are you going to make as an organization to make sure that they get trained in a field that they can get employed?
Yeah, so we have already diversified our offerings. Construction was the flagship when YouthBuild was started in the 70s, but we have already branched off into tech, which is going to be very relevant in the future. Tech, culinary, hospitality, the allied health. So we have already started diversifying our portfolio of workforce pathways. We're just waiting for the opportunity to really expand our capacity as a program, and that's why we are working so hard to get the school authorized, because one, it would come with a level of resources to support those type of programming, and then to bring in internal capacity to really grow those initiatives.
Talk about the school. Where is that review process? What are the hurdles that still need to be cleared to be able to get approval from the state?
Yeah, so the school was authorized by the Rhode Island General Assembly back in 2016. So there's a statute in the books authorizing YouthBuild Preparatory Academy as a secondary school in partnership with Providence and Central Falls. Unfortunately, over the last 4 years, we could not reach an agreement with Providence. However, we are hopeful that our recent conversations with state leadership, that we now see a light at the end of the tunnel. We recently spoke to the governor's office and, come up with a plan of action, and hopefully we can get RIDE in the district to the table to work out a MOU, because as outlined in our legislation, the only thing that we need to actually open is a signed MOU with Providence.
And now with the state takeover of the Providence school system, is that negotiation now with the commissioner, Infante Green's office, or is
Yes.
that still, yeah, that's moving forward there? Listen, Anthony, you're a former banker. What learnings did you take? What trainings, what perspective did you take from being a banker to education? How has that been beneficial to YouthBuild?
Well, nonprofits are businesses, and coming from the corporate side, just bringing that mindset and how to manage our organization and our limited resources, I think was very helpful. As far as education is concerned, I do not promote myself as an educator. I run a very well ran organization. And I hire the right people who have the right experiences and credentials to do the education piece. But what I did incorporate was financial literacy from day one. I came in and incorporated financial literacy into our YouthBuild program, which then spurred off into a national movement that we need to teach our opportunity youth how to manage money when they start to make money. And so that has been one of my greatest contributions to not only our YouthBuild program, but just to other youth workforce development organizations.
Anthony, you get the last word. What do people in Rhode Island need to know about YouthBuild? What's the most important thing?
I think what folks need to know is that, YouthBuild, we are a homegrown organization. We've been a little program in Oneyville for the last 20-something years. And what we really want to do is follow through on the promise that we made to a group of young men who asked for not just a school, but a school that they can call their own, and really take the learnings of YouthBuild to make that happen, the best practices and the evidence-based practices that we have learned. And if we are afforded the opportunity, I do believe Rhode Island can see a change in this very specific part of the student population, the students of color.
Anthony Hubbard, thank you so much for joining us. For everyone else, stay tuned. 12 noon, Dr. Michael Fine. 1 o'clock, the governor's briefing. It'll be live on GoLocal. Everyone else, stay poised. There's going to be a number of announcements this afternoon. Look for new e-blasts coming out probably in the next hour or so. Thanks, everyone, and please, please stay safe.